Do you feel like you've lost your launch mojo? You've got a few launches out of the way, or maybe even a few more than that. You have a launch system. On paper, you know what to do, but yet no matter what, you're not scheduling in that next launch. If you can relate to this, then this episode is for you. Welcome to the Lou Blakely Show. You're in the right place if you're a service provider who is ready to transition into a more freedom-based business model with digital products. In this podcast, I share with you a unique combination of launch strategy, energetics, and mindset to create true, long-lasting success. It's time to ditch the burnout for good, create the business that you truly want, and share it with the world. Let's get started. Welcome to today's episode of The Lou Blakely Show. Recently, I asked my audience what they wanted to hear about on the podcast, and I got one response from a member of my audience who actually asked me a question around what happens when you just can't find the motivation to launch, even when you have all of the tools. So actually, in her words, this is what she said. One topic I'd love to hear more about is around motivation to put all the tools to use. I've got all the tools, but I'm still sitting on 45 people in the membership, and now I'm getting tired of trying to keep it going. So I actually know who this person is, so I just want to make clear there's a very key distinction here that this person has the tools. They have a strategy, or at least they have had a strategy with their previous launches that they can rinse and repeat. Like, they know what to do. They have all the tools, as they say, yet they're just struggling to actually commit to doing more launches. And as she said, she's kind of getting tired of keeping it going. Okay, so I think this is such a great request. It's not really a question, right? But a request, because there are a lot of people out there who have launched, who've got a few launches under their belt, who've done a course on launching to learn how to launch, very common, or have worked with a coach. So for the most part, they do know what to do. They can log into a course portal somewhere that will teach them what to do. They know what to do, but they're still not doing it. And I guess this episode is specifically about the situation where you have actually done it a couple of times at least, but yet you aren't really, you're just kind of putting it on the back burner. I really do think that this is kind of a make or break point. If you listen to my episode that I got released on Tuesday, which is episode 28, I did mention this a few times. A few launches in, I really feel like it becomes quite an important time as to whether you're going to keep committing and keep showing up, or if you just kind of let it slide. So I definitely think that the ones that don't succeed with the online course model are simply the ones that give up too early. So if you're at this stage, then I really urge you to do what it takes to keep moving, to actually keep launching, because every single launch is going to give you wins. It's going to increase your revenue. It's going to, even if it's a small launch, right, it's going to increase your revenue. It's going to make you more visible. It's going to grow your audience, all of these things. But if we just kind of like sit and don't launch, then of course nothing's really going to happen. And then we might get tired of keeping it going. And I especially think that memberships as well, they're constant. They never end, which is something to be aware of with memberships. And memberships thrive on energy, just like anything. We need energy coming in, so we need new people coming in. We need to be putting energy into it ourselves and keeping people engaged so they don't just leave after a while. But that's kind of like another story. I have done a series on what digital product is right for you. And I recommend you go back to them. I think it's about episode 10 to 15. And there's one on monthly memberships that kind of talks about the difference between a membership and how it does kind of take that continual action, and that is not always suited to everyone. But before we get further into this, I really want to point out that refinding your launch mojo is very, very important, and you're probably only going to get that back by actually doing the launch doing another launch and getting some wins under your belt. But I'd also like to add, it's actually really normal to lose your launching mojo. I think it happens to everyone, but it's not something you need to stay committed to. So ask yourself, if this is you, if you resonate with losing your launch mojo, are you more committed to making launching work for your business, or are you more committed to disliking and avoiding launching, kind of wishing there was an easier way, that kind of thing? Definitely something to think about. So here are some signs that you've lost your launching mojo. You might have a few launches under your belt. You've got students in your courses or programs, memberships, whatever it is. But when it comes time to setting your next launch date, you always find something else to do. It's not like you don't know what to offer because you already have an offer. It's not like you don't know how to do the launch because you've done it before. You know these things, whatever training you've had. You've got experienced, but you may not consider yourself to be experienced. I think that this kind of scenario is most likely to happen around the 3rd to 5th launch mark. So you're not quite really comfortable with it, but you feel like you've put in some really decent goes. You probably still aren't kind of at that point where you feel really comfortable launching and you are able to kind of inject bits and pieces into your launch that are really going to make it your own. You only get that by keeping on going. But in saying that, you've also had a few wins in the bag. So you've got an offer that people have bought. In this case, it's a membership. So she's got 45 people in there. But generally, there's an offer that people have purchased. You've validated your offer, all of that good stuff. You know that people want it. People are most likely loving it. You're getting testimonials, all of that great stuff, but you're still not launching. I'd also like to say as well that even experienced launchers don't know the outcomes. Like, we can reverse engineer a launch for sure, but there's still uncertainty no matter where you are on the launching journey. So I think that is kind of part of it. Like, maybe you could reframe that if you really don't like that uncertainty around a launch, reframe it. Are you an adrenaline junkie? Then it's kind of like a wave of adrenaline, possibly, instead of thinking, oh my God, it's so stressful. I feel like I don't like launching because I don't know what's going to happen. Think of it like excitement, excited energy. How can you reframe that? Anyway, I'm starting to get off track, so I better jump back on. What I think is really behind losing your motivation is really 3 things. The first is that maybe your offer or the way you're presenting your offer isn't right for you and your energy, in which case, the person that asked this question has a membership, which is great because it really aligns with what she teaches. But, something to think about could be, is this the right model for you? Or is there kind of more energetic alignment if you were to offer maybe a group coaching program or a a signature online course, or even a smaller mini courses? You'd still keep the membership as well if you wanted to, if it was good, but maybe you need something else that in your business that's going to give you energy. And as long as that's not solely one-on-one work, which we know is not scalable, or you can't leverage that time back, then, maybe it's time to build out your offer suite a little bit more, and you're just relying on one program to give you all of the energy, and it's just not enough for you. Depending on your human design, are you a manifesting generator? I know that I need more than one thing as a mani-gen. Okay? Now, the other thing, there's 2 more things that I think can cause it. That you're just tired and you need a break, in which case just take one. But I think you will know if this is the issue or not. The other kind of reason why I think that you can lose your launch mojo is when you're actually sabotaging your own success for whatever reason. So unless you simply need a break, it's actually more of a mindset issue than anything else. So unless you're simply needing a break, or you have got the wrong model or you just need to add to your model, then I definitely think that this is a mindset thing. So if you love your product, you love your offer, and you're not just tired and need a rest, coming into this time of the year, lots of people need a good rest and a few weeks off at this point, and that's coming soon. But, if those things aren't huge for you, like I know that I've got more energy than ever at the moment, and it happens to me every year around Christmas and New Year's as I suddenly get into work mode. It's just something that happens with me. But I think if those things aren't the big things, then it is more of a mindset thing. So it might be on some level that you don't truly believe in your product, you don't believe in your ability to deliver it, that you don't actually believe it's of value, which, you can tweak all of those things. You are welcome to improve your offer over time to suit you. It might be that you're actively sabotaging your own success, whether that's financially or otherwise. So maybe the thing that attracted you to this business model in the first place, like the leverage, the scalability, is the fact that you don't have to be on all the time, that you can help people without actually meeting up with them one-on-one. And maybe there could be something there. Like, we're not programmed to believe, we're not taught as we grow up that, taught to believe as we grow up that it's normal to make money without having to be there in person and just get paid for like maybe recording a few videos a month in a membership. Like, we're not taught that that's normal. So there could be something unconscious going on here that you're kind of sabotaging it because you feel like making money this way is way too easy. It's not normal. It's not what society has told us we should do. So sometimes, without even realizing it, we can go running back to what we feel familiar with, which feels a lot harder, and requires us to actually show it, which is more of a like traditional business model, which is the swap of your time for money. I also want you to think about what rewards are you getting for not showing up, for not scheduling that next launch, for not going through with your next launch, by not being visible online, by not putting your offer out there. Like, what rewards are you getting it? Because there definitely are rewards for doing that stuff. So sometimes we have these business goals on one hand, and on the other hand, we absolutely love having zero commitments, not having to show up anywhere, not having to do any work. This is something that I can speak to personally, as I've found through my recovery from burnout, which I've spoken about a lot so far on this podcast. So through that recovery from burnout that I've kind of been on over the last few years, which I have to say I'm fully out of now, which is amazing, that after some time I actually started really enjoying doing nothing, like actually way too much. And dare I say it, got quite lazy when it came to work. And it's not where I want to be. I am way too driven for that, like deep down, So like, sure, it's nice to do nothing for a while, but there's absolutely no fulfillment in this place, and that can cause a whole lot of other stuff. So I definitely think that, yes, it's nice to cruise, but do you really want that? Do you really want that for your life? Because I know I don't really, and it's actually taken me a while to come to that realization. So back to what reward you're getting, maybe there's actually a big payoff for staying where you are that you really enjoy. It's safe, it's warm and comforting, there's no threats. You get to spend excess time with other people who you love, like your family, which is amazing, but there is no fulfillment in this space, and you deserve to achieve your goals, whatever they are. Now, it could also be self-sabotage, where you're actually not doing it because you want to protect yourself from failure. So you're worried that you're going to go to all the effort and then it won't pay off. But there's no such thing as a failed launch. Like, that is so important to realize. There is no such thing as a failed launch. You will learn so much from every single launch you do, no matter what the results are. And those learnings just will help you to get better and better at it. And dare I say it, even start to enjoy the process. So I really do believe that kind of losing the motivation to launch when you have all of the tools available for you is most likely to be some kind of self-sabotage issue if you've lost, if you don't have that mojo, if you keep thinking, oh my God, I feel like I should launch, but you're still not setting the date unless you have a offer problem where you need to tweak your offer a little bit just for your own alignment, or if you're like, just need a break. But, if this is going on for months and months and months, then it's not because you need a break. So, yeah, I do believe it is probably self-sabotage in some form. Obviously, I can't really speak to exactly what that would be for your individual situation because everybody's different. And there could be many things kind of behind this that could be creating it, like unconscious beliefs, that kind of thing. But one thing that I'd really encourage you to do is ask yourself, what are the benefits of staying where you are right now? What's stopping you from really going for it? And what fears or beliefs come up? So maybe like grab a notebook and jot those down and journal on them, especially that one around the benefits. Like, what are the rewards for staying where you are? Like, if you're not launching, you've got more energy to spend on other things. So just very interesting to kind of delve into that and start to see what comes up for you. And if you're totally not resonating with the self-sabotage thing, it could also be that you're simply not backing yourself. And even though you've done a few launches, you've got students, you're selling, like you've got students in there, you're still not totally comfortable with the process. And the only way to get more confidence in the process is to do it again. So let's look at some ways you can get your launching mojo back. So firstly, surround yourself with the support you need to succeed. If you know that you want to launch again, but you're procrastinating on it, then it's time to get the support. Okay, because quite often in business, we're doing it alone. Sometimes that support is just so important to have, and we don't really have it if we just, like working at home, trying to fit it in around our lives. We don't have that support like you do in other work environments. I think it's really important that you get the support you need. It's likely that you've already taken a course on launching in the past. You have invested in it in some ways, or you may have even invested with a coach. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't even know how to launch in the first place. Now, I think there's a thing here about investing in help. So just because you've done this in the past, like invested in yourself in the past, it doesn't mean that you don't ever need support again. So there are so many different stages of business growth with this business model. And just because you know what to do doesn't mean that you don't need and deserve ongoing support. So get that support that you need. Like, I can't reiterate that enough. It could be accountability, mentorship, motivation, strategic help, or maybe someone that can provide that all in one. I really value having one-on-one support in my business. When I do, I actually achieve 10 times what I do when I'm trying to go it alone. So, and I have been guilty of that thought, like, I'll hire this coach for a few months and then I'll be able to go it alone because I would have gained so much. And I've totally realized now that I actually need support ongoing in my business. It's okay to have a few gaps here and there, but I thrive when I have the right support. So hire the help you need. And, we spoke a little bit before about maybe it's your offer suite that needs some tweaks, or your actual product or online course membership, whatever it is, needs some tweaks. So maybe it's just like getting someone with a strategy brain to actually help you make those tweaks. So it could be a strategist that you hire. It could be private coaching. It could be that you sign up to a mastermind or a group coaching program. You could hire a mindset coach. You could get some NLP or hypnotherapy sessions. You could invest in some nervous system support if you think that's the area that you need help with. It really is about identifying the area that you do need help with and then getting the right help specifically for that. Okay, so the next bit of advice that I can give you is look at what didn't feel good in your last launch and then make some tweaks. So it's all well and good to know how to launch, to have the strategy and all of that good stuff. But what about how your life actually flows during a launch? That could be one of the reasons that you're putting it off, because you literally had no time for anything during that time. So if you're living the mum life like I am, then you can't just bail on the rest of your life during a launch. So what were the sticking points around the life and launch balance last time? Get familiar with those, and then how can you plan ahead to make sure it's better next time? It could be getting childcare planned in advance, organising to do your launch while your kids don't have so much on, so you're not running them around so much, or maybe you could even set it up to do it while they're away with their grandparents or something like that. Like, I don't know your situation, but if you do have children, like, I think we just can't turn that part off of our lives off to launch. Like, yeah, we just don't have that ability. So look at ways that you can plan around that. Make sure that you have childcare organised. And also set yourself up for success by actually scheduling in those launch dates at the best possible time for you, not in a period of time that is already busy. Now that my son's a teenager, I actually find school holidays are the time I get the most work done because he sleeps a lot, and that means that I don't have to drive him around as much. I don't have to get him to school and all that kind of stuff. But I know that if you've got small children, like when he was little, I was definitely not launching during school holidays. No way. That would be the worst time to do it. So plan ahead. What's your individual situation? And then make the launching process as easiest as possible by making it fit in with your life already. Like, don't pick a crazy busy time. And, if you don't have kids, then just look at what else is going on in your life and make sure you pick a time when you can give the launch the most attention. Also, make sure you plan in some self-care during your launch, not just for afterwards, or even worse, only reward yourself with a treat if you achieve a certain amount of results. Like, I don't care what results you get, you should still reward yourself. And this kind of self-care doesn't have to cost a fortune either, but find ways to get more me time. It could be going to the sauna, finding a quiet spot in the house for some rest and stretching, or maybe even book in a breathwork session if you need that nervous system support. So actually plan out, like I'd say, make something daily during a launch that you can actually do that's self-care. Don't take your phone with you and just go in silence and just really debrief. I also always recommend having like a series on Netflix or something to watch at night time, just a way that you can fully lose the train of thought around launching and actually just fully decompress. I think that's really important. So we need to do that daily during a launch. And I think that if you can implement that, you're going to enjoy the launching process a lot more. It's like that nervous system support, right? So I really encourage you to think back to your last launch, how you felt at the time and what support you really would have liked in that moment. It could also be that certain areas of your strategy didn't feel aligned. So take a look at those and see if we can make some tweaks, if you can make some tweaks so that you do feel more comfortable. A good example of this is that you didn't feel good about introducing your offer on the final day. So if this is something that feels out of alignment for you, then a good switch up here could be to just be transparent right from the start and let your audience know at the end of your launch event, you'll be inviting people to join your membership or online course. So that's just one example, but where are the areas, just tiny little areas? I definitely don't recommend changing your strategy or system because it works for a reason, right? But what little tiny areas here and there could you say, well, that did not feel an energetic alignment for me, so I'm actually going to do this instead. Like, you've got to replace it with something, but I think that's really important and something that happens as you become more experienced. So just think about what areas could you make simple tweaks that are going to make the process feel better for you. Now, the next thing is to ask yourself if you really want this or if there's something else you'd rather be doing. This is a really hard one to face, but I think it's important. There's many people out there saying that creating and launching your course is passive income. I see them on Instagram every day. So that passive word definitely conjures up images of sitting on a tropical beach somewhere, cocktail in our hand, while the sales roll on in. Now, I'm not saying that this doesn't happen because it's happened for me when I've been on holiday, but there's definitely work and dedication required beforehand for that to even be possible. So are you prepared to do the work, or are you looking for an easier option? You just got attracted by that like passive income promise. I think we can obsess over finding the easiest, most passive options, but there really isn't one. Even making money on the share market can require dedication and some really hard work. So owning rental properties and Airbnbs take work. So you do have a choice. You can choose what's going to fulfill you, impact others, and, spread your work around the world, which is what so many people why they're attracted to this online course model. Or you can keep searching for the business model that requires zero work. It does not exist. Or alternatively, you could get a job. If you think launching is hard, go and get a job with someone telling you what to do while you build their dreams for them and forget about yours. I'm just going to say a big no thanks to that. That reframe or perspective shift really makes launching suddenly feel like amazing. And it could be that you just need to reframe launching into something that is going to get you the end result that you want. It's a process that you're willing to do. Each launch is going to deliver wins and lessons, and it's going to build and grow your audience. And with each incremental launch, and over time, if you stick at it, you will achieve that fulfillment that you've been after the whole time. So I definitely encourage you to really sit with that. And, what did that bring up for you? Are you really willing to do what it takes to achieve with this business model, to achieve your goals, whatever they are? So the next thing to do is actually schedule in the launch date. Get it scheduled in and start getting prep now. So it doesn't have to be within the next month. You don't have to start within the next month. Obviously, we're at that time of year going into Christmas where you do need to, any time of year, I think you need to look at what's the best time for me. But you can say, I'm going to launch in April next year and actually start working on it now. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. It doesn't have to be in the next few months. And sometimes the lack of launch mojo simply comes down to not having a plan. And quite often, if we haven't actually scheduled in the date, then we're not going to plan and we're not going to move forward. So then it can feel like, oh my God, I still haven't scheduled a date. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm resisting launching. Just set the date. It could even be that you sit down for, half an hour to an hour and map out your launches for the next 12 months. And with that, how each launch will build to meet your overall revenue goals for the year. So get excited to that goal and realize that, as I said before, each launch is an incremental step towards that. So get excited about that goal. There's got to be a reason why you're doing this. You're not launching just to launch. That's not why any of us are doing this. So tap into your vision. Is it to help a certain number of people? Or is it to hit a certain amount of revenue to make an impact in society? Or is it to really build generational wealth for your family? We all are going to have a different vision, but what is yours? And then tap into that and then decide how you're going to build towards that within the 12-month period and actually decide how many times you're going to launch. So it's time to reclaim that you have your launch mojo back. Right now is definitely a great time to sit down, reflect on 2022, and plan out what you want to launch in 2023. I encourage you to do that if you haven't already. And remember, make it as easy as possible. Set those launches up at the best time for you. Book in the support that you need. Surround yourself in the right support, the self-care, the best time for you, all of that stuff. It really is going to make it so much easy. And that is what we do want to make launching as easy as possible. Now, if you need help with your launches, whether you're just getting started or you're more experienced, you're really craving one-on-one support, and you really highly value mentorship, then I've opened up spaces for my private coaching for 2023. Now, these spaces are extremely limited, as next year the focus for me is on my group programs. So reach out now if you want a spot. It is the highest level of support that I offer, and it's for those of you who are determined to make this business model work and you've got the big ambitions to scale up your online course business. So if you're interested in that, head over to louiseblakely.com/coaching and all of the details will be there. Thanks for listening to this episode. Stay tuned for my next episode coming out next Tuesday. I hope you have a great weekend and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. Thanks, course creators and go-getters. You're incredible, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit subscribe in your podcast app so you don't miss an episode. If you'd like to find out more about what I offer, head across to loublakely.com. See you next time.